Good morning everybody, John at Midnight Paint and Body back with you again. Hey, on this video I'm going to show you how to replace body panels using glue. Alright, so before we get started here, I figured I'd bring you in and show you what we're working on. So I've got this Dodge van that's obviously rusting out. I've got this repair panel, which is from Keystone. It's an RRP 309 repair panel. You know, these are really reasonably priced. So just to give you an idea, we're going to be doing this panel, not going to be welding, we're going to be using the 3M 8115 panel bonding adhesive. So this is the stuff that is used for gluing cars together. So before I get into it, just to kind of give you an idea, I'm going to start by taking off the molding and stuff here. And as you can see, this panel goes right up over here. I'm probably going to be trimming it probably midway kind of through that molding so that the repair is going to be underneath there. And then that way too we're going to have a nice flat surface of this metal and this metal for the bonding adhesive. So before I get cutting, so we'll basically be leaving, I'll leave about a 3/4 inch flange for this panel to butt on top of. So it won't be my typical butt welding where I like to have no overlap, but that's the way it's done with the panel bond adhesive. So, and I'll probably come somewhere around here and overlap a little bit rather than going around the corner into the door jamb, but I'm not sure yet. And then I notice on these, they really don't have much of a flange down here. There's kind of, so they must be plug welded right through there. I'm right upwards, I'm guessing. And I probably will weld the bottom. I will glue all these seams and then I'll probably still just plug weld the bottom. Okay, so I'm gonna get set up. I'm gonna get this molding off and get everything trimmed up here, and then we'll go from there. In case you guys are wondering what I'm using there, it's a 3M eraser wheel for taking all that leftover tape off. You know, beats scraping it all off with a razor blade, gets it nice and clean. And yeah, you're not scraping up all the paint because we're only going to be painting up to here. I don't want to damage any paint above the line. So I'll continue on with that and then I'll bring you guys back when I start cutting. So what I've decided to do here on this panel, I'm going to cut it about 1.5 inches down from this line. So that'll put this top of this panel, they put these pieces of tape here for reference, so that top edge will end up being here. And then this panel I'll cut out another 3/4 inch down. So then that leaves a 3/4 inch flange there where this panel is going to overlap, and that's where the glue is going to be. So yeah, and like I say, that's going to leave lots of room here to finish this off, to keep any repairs below this body line because we're only painting to there. Something I'm going to point out for you guys here, I noticed looking down this body panel, I can see that it actually is spot welded. So there must be a brace right there. Now I haven't taken anything apart inside this van because it's a work van and there's a ton of stuff in there. So that's one of the reasons I've chosen to glue, because I can't really get inside to make sure it's safe for welding. So when I cut this, I'm gonna just make sure my zip cut is only going in a little bit, because I don't know for sure what's back there. I think this is just a brace right here, but I will just be cutting really shallow as much as I can. So there's something I was kind of talking about, you know, trying to cut really shallow because there is braces there. So with not putting the grinder in too deep, you know, I hopefully didn't cut through them, but yeah, we're okay there. So yeah, I'll keep trimming this up and we'll see what kind of mess is underneath. Bring you guys in for a lookie here. So you can see where the bulk of the rust is around these braces. You can see how it's holding all the dirt and crap inside there. You know, that stuff gets in there, it stays wet. You know, rust is always from the inside. The little bits of surface rust, outside stuff, it's never really a problem. It's the stuff you don't see. So, yeah, looks like I'm gonna need to do a little patching on the inner rocker there. So, and the reason I cut that off like that, now I can just use the air chisel and get in there and get those where it's spot welded along the bottom. I can get those with the air chisel. So I'm going to clean all that up, and then I will bring you guys back when we're kind of ready to start fitting the panel. So I've gone ahead and cleaned up all the inner rocker here, and I had to make a piece where it was rusted through at the back there. Kind of quick and dirty, nothing real fancy. So next up, we're going to go ahead and start fitting the rust repair panel. Now I've already trimmed off the front because I didn't want to go lap into the door jamb, and I pre-drilled a couple spots just to make it a little easier for the self-tapping screws. So I did notice, kind of holding this up, that this panel doesn't really roll quite enough to get to that break at the bottom. So we're going to have to force that around a little bit, I think. So you want it to be lined up good, because we're going to be reusing these holes where I've put these self-tappers in to line it up when it goes back on for good. Okay, that's actually going to work out really well right there. Yeah, got the gloves on because, like I say, I just painted in there, so I didn't really let it set up too much. So I can see I want to take a little more off the front, so I'm just going to mark that while it's on the vehicle. Okay, so that's actually really good. I'm going to pull the panel back off, and then I'll show you what we're going to do next to start prepping it up for the glue. So we're ready to start prepping up for the glue. Now, with this panel bond, it needs to be bare metal to bare metal, and it's got to have a nice tooth in it for the glue to bite into. You can see I've gone ahead on this panel. I've drilled holes along the bottom and along the wheel openings. I'm going to plug weld down there, but I'm going to be gluing here and along the top. So I'm going to just take the grinder. I've got a nice new flap disc on there. I'm going to clean this off nice here and along there. So this is where I'm going to get a little redneck with this. So when you use this stuff, it comes with these 3M mix tips. So you put the tips on, you put this in the applicator gun, it pushes it through, and it actually mixes it, stirs it, so it's ready to use. I don't have the applicator gun. So what I've always done with this, I just grab something that you can push the stuff out with. As long as you're pushing it out exactly even, do one side then the other, and then just mix it up. It's just fine. It's just obviously not the way 3M intended it. Make sure you've got it stirred extremely well. Obviously you don't want this stuff not setting up in some spot in the repair. And it's okay to have a little thick because you actually want that squish out. And with this glue, you can't really work this for about 8 hours, so it'd be pretty much tomorrow by the time I finish it off. But you can force dry it. You can use heat, and that's probably what I'm going to do. I'm going to get a heat lamp on it. It's still early enough in the day that hopefully by the end of the day I can show you guys how we're going to fill these screw holes. Okay, I'm going to show you guys now what I do with these when I'm gluing a panel. So obviously all these holes where I've got the panel fastened have to be filled. So take out my retainers or my retaining screws. I like to really squish a little bit of panel bond. I've mixed up a little more panel bond. Squeeze some in the hole. And I take an 1/8" rivet, put some more glue on it. Hopefully you have a better riveter than I do. Well, there we go. So having plenty of glue on that, that's going to seal up really good in behind. And then I'll be grinding the heads off, but they're completely glued in, and we'll finish that off with a little bit of filler after. Okay, so here's another look at the panel all glued on. Obviously my pop riveter is kind of a piece of crap, so it's taking a little longer to get all those rivets in than it should have, but I got her done. So you can see, yeah, you can't really see because the glue's squirted out, but everything's a nice tight fit to the original sheet metal. I did spot weld the bottom and around that wheel lip. So in the morning we'll come back to this, we'll grind that all down a little bit, and it's just along this seam and this seam. It's just going to take just a really small amount of filler, and then we'll get some primer and paint on this thing. So yeah, we'll let her sit till tomorrow, and we'll see you then. So it's the next day again. So our glue's all cured. So if you do it right, this stuff is hard as a rock. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to buzz the grinder along this, clean all this up, and get it ready for a little bit of filler. That's the coat of fiberglass filler. So what I'm using, this is Everglass, Evercoat Everglass short strand fiberglass filler. I always like to use the fiberglass filler over any seams, whether it's welded or glued. Just gives that little extra protection just in case you've got a little porosity somewhere. This stuff is a lot more waterproof than regular body fillers. It's really not. I've got the fiberglass filler taken down. So I'm just going to finish it off with a little bit of plastic filler, Up here doesn't really matter that much on this one because it's got that big wide molding, but I still like it to be finished nice underneath. So this might seem like a fair bit of filler, but it's really not. By the time this is sanded off, all that's going to be left on the panel is really just enough to level that surface. I mean, honestly, if you're using body filler right, most of it's on the floor when you're done. Had to go turn my radio off so I could talk. Apparently I'd get in trouble if you guys hear Metallica playing. So yeah, so that's pretty much done. I'm going to finish up this filler a little bit. Just needs a little bit of fine tuning. I'm going to take it over to the other end of the shop. It'll get a coat of epoxy primer, a couple of quick coats of high build primer. It's still early enough in the day that if I get a couple of heat lamps on it, I'll probably still get it prepped up and painted today. But I'm going to leave this at that. Next time you guys see it, it should be painted and ready to deliver back to the customer. Alright, it's the next day here. So I did get this painted yesterday. I've been working on it this morning, got the molding and stuff put back on. So as you can see, there's the finished up glued panel. Now one of the last things I do on these, so see this mess underneath, see the oil down there. I've got this, it's actually just an undercoat gun. I fill it up with used motor oil and I pull all the black plugs from the inside of the rocker panel or whatever panel I happen to be working on, and I spray a bunch of oil inside. So that's going to seep into all the seams down at the bottom where I've done the plug welds. That oil's going to seep around everything. I spray up so it gets into everything. So that's going to give everything a good coating. It's going to hold that rust back a whole lot longer. So yeah, just something I do. I do it on every rust repair, whether it's welded, glued, whatever. When I do paint jobs and stuff, I always do that, you know, pickups over the wheel wells and in the fenders and stuff. So I think it's really good prevention. So there you go. Dirty. So yeah, hopefully that was informative for somebody. Hopefully it helps somebody out. As always, thanks so much for watching the video. Let me know in the comments if, you know, this was helpful for you, if there's anything else you would like to see. And if I did it right, there should be a subscribe button down in the corner there on the screen. So if you could hit that, that really helps me out, helps me keep these videos coming. As always, thanks for watching. Hope to see you on the next one.